It is the year 1915, and at the bottom of the world, the ocean is turning into stone. The ship Endurance, led by Sir Ernest Shackleton, floats in the Weddell Sea, surrounded by growing sheets of Antarctic ice. At first, the ice seems harmless, thin and fragile, forming delicate patterns around the hull. The men on board watch it with curiosity. They have seen ice before. They have pushed through it. They believe it will shift, open, and release them. Antarctica is always moving, always breathing in its own slow rhythm. But this time, the rhythm changes. The ice thickens day by day. It presses gently at first, almost politely, against the wooden sides of the ship. The temperature drops lower. The sun hangs weakly above the horizon, then begins to disappear for longer stretches. The world becomes quieter. The sea that once rolled beneath them now sits still and white in every direction. There is no clear line between ocean and land, only frozen infinity. Inside the Endurance, life continues carefully. Lanterns glow with soft yellow light. The men drink tea from metal cups, their breath faint in the cold air of the cabin. Shackleton moves among them calmly. He understands something essential. Fear spreads quickly in isolation. So he keeps their spirits steady. There are routines, duties, small tasks to complete. Structure becomes warmth. Outside, the ice keeps tightening. At night, the ship begins to speak. The timbers creak and groan under pressure. Long wooden beams bend slightly as the frozen sea shifts. The sound echoes through the hull like a slow heartbeat. Some men wake and lie still in their bunks, listening. The noise is not violent yet. It is patient. Antarctica does nothing quickly. Weeks pass. The ice no longer drifts. It locks the ship completely in place. The Endurance is no longer sailing. She is frozen into the sea itself. The wind brushes snow across the deck in soft waves. The horizon is pale blue and silver under a sky that grows dimmer each day. Then the true pressure begins. The ice does not explode in sudden chaos. It squeezes. It builds slowly, relentlessly. The ship tilts slightly as ridges of ice rise around her like frozen mountains. The sound deepens. Cracks form in the beams. The men gather supplies, moving crates of food, tools, and lifeboats onto the ice. There is no shouting, no panic. Shackleton's voice remains calm, steady, measured. If the ship is lost, they will survive on the ice. One evening, the pressure becomes too much. The hull splits, water seeps in. The Endurance, their floating home, is crushed by the continent itself. Slowly she sinks beneath the frozen surface, disappearing into the dark water below. The men stand in silence as their ship vanishes. Around them stretches only white emptiness. They set up camp on the drifting sea ice. Tents are raised, supplies stacked carefully, dogs secured. The temperature drops further as the polar night approaches. Soon, the sun barely rises at all. Daylight becomes a faint twilight that lasts only a few hours. The rest is darkness painted with stars. In that darkness, something unexpected happens. The world becomes peaceful. There are no engines, no cities, no distant machines, only wind moving gently across snow. Sometimes the aurora appears, green and soft above their heads, moving silently like curtains in slow motion. The men step outside their tents and look upward without speaking. Even in danger, beauty exists. Time begins to blur. Without sunrise and sunset, days are measured by meals and tasks. Tea in the morning, rations counted carefully, equipment checked. Shackleton insists on routine. Each man has a responsibility. Each man must feel useful. Morale becomes their most valuable supply. The ice beneath them drifts northward, carrying their camp slowly across the Weddell Sea. They are passengers now, moved by currents far below the frozen surface. Occasionally, deep rumbling sounds echo through the ice. distant fractures splitting open miles away, the earth shifting in its sleep. Food grows limited. They hunt seals when possible, moving carefully across unstable ground. Each step is tested before weight is placed down. Beneath some sections lies only black water waiting silently. Survival depends on patience and awareness. Months pass in this suspended world. When spring finally begins to touch Antarctica, the ice weakens. Cracks form closer to camp. Dark lines widen into channels of open water. The drifting flow that has carried them for so long is breaking apart. Shackleton knows it is time. The lifeboats are lowered into freezing water. The men load supplies carefully. They push away from the ice that had been both prison and protection. The Southern Ocean greets them with cold waves and floating shards of ice. They row slowly, carefully navigating through narrow passages between frozen slabs. Spray freezes on their clothes. Hands grow numb round oars. After days of exhausting travel, they reach Elephant Island, a rocky, desolate place far from shipping routes. It is not safety, but it is solid ground. For the first time in months, they stand on unmoving earth. Some kneel quietly. Some stare at the horizon. The wind here is sharper, restless against the cliffs. But rescue will not come unless they seek it. Shackleton makes his boldest decision. He selects 5 men and prepares one small lifeboat for a journey across 800 miles of open ocean to South Georgia Island. It is one of the most dangerous sea crossings ever attempted. The Southern Ocean is known for towering waves and violent storms. They depart in the small boat, rising and falling over enormous swells. Days blend together under gray skies. Salt crusts their clothing. Ice forms on ropes. They navigate by stars when clouds allow. Every movement must be precise. Every decision measured. Against all odds, after more than 2 weeks, they sight the mountains of South Georgia. Jagged peaks rise from the mist like stone guardians. They land on the wrong side of the island, forced to cross glaciers and unmapped mountains to reach a whaling station. Shackleton and his companions walk for over a day without rest, climbing icy slopes and sliding down frozen ridges until finally they reach human settlement. Help is secured. Months later, Shackleton returns to Elephant Island. Every single man survives. Not one is lost. In the harshest environment on Earth, survival came not through force or speed, but through calm leadership, routine, patience, and hope maintained quietly in darkness. The polar night tested them, but it did not take them. Now imagine that frozen world once more. The wind softer, the ice glowing faintly beneath a sky filled with slow-moving stars. A wooden ship resting somewhere deep below the surface, preserved in cold silence. And above it all, the memory of Ernest, steady, quiet, unbroken. Let the wind fade, let the cold become calm, and drift into sleep.